The image that you have of love is a lie. Not because you are naive, not because you are weak, but because you have been taught to believe in a carefully constructed fantasy. They have told you that love is surrender, purity, spiritual connection. That woman is an elevated being, delicate, morally superior. That her love is selfless, that her tenderness is unconditional. And what if I told you that all of that is an illusion that only serves to keep you blind? An illusion that prevents you from seeing the raw, strategic, uncomfortable reality. And what if Nietzsche were right? Friedrich Nietzsche did not hate women. He understood them. He observed them without the broken lenses of Christian morality or romantic sentimentalism. And what he saw was this. They are not weak creatures, nor innocent, nor morally superior. They are strategists. They are power in pure form, disguised as vulnerability. And you are the useful fool who still believes that delicacy is weakness. Error. Since childhood, we are taught to idealize, to project, to see in the other person what we lack. But Nietzsche warns us, what you project onto the other distances you from the truth. You do not love a woman. You love what you think she is, what you need her to be, what suits you for her to be. But she is not that. She is much more. She is instinct. She is survival. She is calculation. Not from hatred, but from the need to adapt to a world that has always excluded her from visible power. So she learned to dominate from the shadows. While you seek understanding, she analyzes your cracks. While you dream of the fusion of souls, she calibrates how far she can influence without you noticing. Not because she is manipulative by nature, but because she has been pushed into the field of invisible power. And there, Nietzsche was clear. The most effective power is the one that is not seen, the one that operates in silence, the one that moves without touching. You think love is equality. Nietzsche laughs. For him, love between man and woman is not a harmonious dance. It is a veiled war, a struggle for dominance, camouflaged as passion, a struggle of wills dressed in romance to avoid terrifying the other. But the game is clear. Who influences whom? Who gives in first? Who controls the desire of the other? That is the true dynamic. And the one who does not see it loses. Does it seem dark to you? It is. But it is real. And that is what Nietzsche demands from us. Stop idealizing. Stop moralizing. Stop hiding impulses under ethical masks. Love is not pure. It is an evolutionary strategy. It is desire, it is ego, it is need. It does not make it bad. It makes it human. And the human is always ambivalent. Nietzsche does not despise women. He despises the caricature that men make of them. That image of the pure muse, of the lady who waits, of the angelic figure who redeems man from his brutality. That image, says Nietzsche, is a farce. And the worst part is that many prefer that farce to the truth. Because the truth involves discomfort. It involves accepting that the woman also desires, also struggles, also uses power in her own way. And here comes the hardest blow. That supposed feminine morality, that ethical superiority that is so celebrated, is not virtue. It is survival. It is strategic adaptation to centuries of exclusion. Can't you dominate the outside world? Dominate the inner world of the other. Learn to be indispensable, not by force, but by influence. That is psychological power. That is relational control. And Nietzsche saw it with a clarity that is frightening. Where do you fit in all this? Who are you in this covert war? The romantic who gives without conditions, or the one who dares to look behind the veil? Because the truth is this. If you do not see the game, you are part of the board. If you believe that love is a refuge, you do not understand that it is also a battlefield. The woman, says Nietzsche, is not inferior. She is something else. She works with different rules. Not because she is different in essence, but because history has forced her to develop other weapons. Where the man raises his voice, the woman whispers. Where the man demands, the woman influences. And in that contrast, she has perfected a type of power that doesn't need to be recognized to be effective. A power that does not seek legitimacy, because she already has results. You still believe that love can do everything. She knows that love is just another tool, sometimes a weapon, sometimes a shield, but always functional. While you declare your love as a form of redemption, she calculates it as an investment. Is there surrender? Yes. But conditional? Is there tenderness? Yes. But strategic. And that does not make her cold, it makes her lucid. Are you uncomfortable? Good. Because that is the purpose of this truth. Nietzsche did not write to console you. He wrote to break you, to remove the bandages one by one. Because only then will you be able to rebuild yourself from reality, not from fantasy. And the reality is this: love between genders is rotten with projections. The man sees in the woman what he wants to be. The woman sees in the man what she needs to control. Both approach disguised, with masks of desire, tenderness, promises. But what they are really looking for is influence, control, emotional territory. Nietzsche does not propose hatred. He proposes lucidity. He proposes that we look with naked eyes, without adornments. He proposes that we stop being emotional children and start understanding that every human relationship has a component of power, that the morality we attribute to one gender is simply an adaptation, that tenderness can be a form of control, that love can be a low-intensity war. And if you are not willing to see this, then you will continue living in a golden cage, believing that you are loved when in reality you are useful, thinking that you give when in reality you give away your power, convinced that you choose when in reality you are being chosen. The future of relationships is not in romanticizing them more. It is in stripping them bare, in accepting that real equality will not come from idealizing, but from understanding, from seeing the other as they are, not as they should be. Nietzsche tells us, stop looking for angels. Start seeing human beings, with their lights, yes, but also with their shadows. And there, in that vision without illusions, true freedom begins. The greatest enemy of love is not hatred. It is the lie. And current love, that which you see in movies, on social networks, in motivational phrases, is full of sweet lies. Nietzsche wants you to rip them out by the roots, because as long as you keep believing that she is better than you by nature, you will keep giving up power. And as long as she keeps believing that you are an emotional savior, she will keep playing a role that doesn't belong to her. Do you want to love for real? Then start by stopping needing, because the one who needs surrenders without conditions, and the one who surrenders without conditions loses influence, and the one who loses influence becomes an emotional slave. Nietzsche does not want that for you. Nietzsche wants you to be free, to love from the truth, not from fantasy, to build relationships where both know what they are really looking for. Because the day you understand this, you will stop asking yourself why they abandoned you, why they manipulated you, why they broke you. And you will start asking yourself, why did I want to believe a lie? Why did it suit me to see only one part? What part of me needed to idealize the other in order not to face myself? There is the real revolution, not in changing the other, but in changing the way you look at them. And if you start seeing the woman as an autonomous, instinctive, strategic being, then you will no longer need to put her on a pedestal, nor destroy her, just understand her. And that, for Nietzsche, is the beginning of true respect. It is not hatred, it is clarity. It is not misogyny, it is demystification. And in that process, perhaps, finally, we can start to build something real, something that does not depend on masks, roles, or projections, something that comes from the brutal recognition of what we are, and of what, despite everything, we can still become. And you? Are you willing to look without filters? Or would you rather keep loving an illusion? And here is where an even more unsettling door opens. What if all this structure of emotional power between men and women were not just a historical consequence, but a deeper manifestation of the will to power that Nietzsche described? Because it is not just about how the genders relate, but about something more underground, more visceral. The unconscious drive to dominate, to influence, to not be dominated. The fascinating and disturbing thing is that this struggle for emotional control is not on the surface, it is in the unconscious. And that makes it an invisible theater. You think you choose, you believe you decide, but in reality, you are reacting to impulses you have not questioned. Impulses you have inherited, that you have internalized, that you do not even recognize as your own. And there is where Nietzsche hits us hardest. There is no freedom without brutal self-knowledge. Ask yourself this: are you really attracted to who you are attracted to? Or are you simply attracted to who knows how to play with your insecurity better? Who is more desirable? The one who gives herself without reservations, or the one who pulls away just when you need her most? Why do you confuse emotional intensity with genuine love? Because deep down, you are not looking to love. You are looking to reaffirm yourself through the other. And here comes into play a figure that Nietzsche did not directly develop, but that fits perfectly: relational narcissism. That phenomenon where you do not love the other for who they are, but for what they make you feel about yourself. You are not looking for a person. You are looking for a mirror that reflects the idealized image you have of yourself. What role do women play in this game? The same as men: mirrors, validators, symbols, not people. Nietzsche, without using that word, already intuited this functioning. The other becomes a tool for self-affirmation, and love ceases to be encounter to become self-deception. Do you realize? There is no possible equality when both enter the relationship with a hidden agenda. And everyone has one. The man seeks to feel power, to feel needed, to feel that he leads. The woman, according to Nietzsche, has learned to capitalize on that desire, to shape it, to guide it without him noticing. Not because she is manipulative, but because she has been trained by centuries to survive this way. And you? You think you are conquering when in reality you are being guided. You are an actor who believes he writes his script, but is only performing a play that was written long before you were born. Let's go further. What if this silent war were the cause of so much modern love suffering? What if the problem is not that we don't understand each other, but that we don't want to understand each other? Because accepting that the other does not come to complete you, but to challenge you, requires maturity. And the childish love, that which Nietzsche spoke of, does not want maturity. It wants protection, it wants salvation, it wants fiction. They taught you that love will cure you, that it will complete you, that it will elevate you. But Nietzsche mocks that idea. Because as long as you seek redemption in the other, you have not understood anything. The other is not your savior. The other is a mirror, and sometimes a broken mirror. Do you have the courage to look there? Because that is the great test. To look at the other without filters is to look at yourself without excuses. And that is terrifying. That is why you idealize. That is why you build the fantasy of the angelic woman, the one who will never betray you, the one who will always understand you, the one who does not play with your emotions, because you are not ready to accept that you also play, that you also manipulate, that you also seek power, even if you deny it. True love, if such a thing exists, does not begin with desire. It begins with the truth of who you are, with the truth of who she is, and with the courage to not need to adorn it. But that involves losing something. It involves ceasing to be the hero of your own romantic movie. It involves accepting that you are not the center, that you are not indispensable, that you are not wiser for being a man, nor purer for suffering. And here comes another of the themes that Nietzsche hinted at with brutal elegance. Emotional revenge, that silent force that moves many relationships. How many times have you loved just to get back at your own loneliness? How many times have you sought someone just to not feel less than another? How many times have you desired not because the other attracts you, but because their validation would give you value? Nietzsche understood this. Many times, love does not come from love, but from resentment. Resentment against the world, against your childhood, against your sense of inadequacy. And instead of healing, you project. You become an actor in an emotional revenge that you don't even know you are executing. And do you know who is the most frequent target of that revenge? The woman. Because she represents what you fear the most, the possibility that she does not need you, the possibility that she can choose not to love you, not depend on you. Nietzsche knew that many men do not seek to love a woman. They seek to domesticate her autonomy. They do not want a companion. They want a validation that breathes. And this is the most dangerous, when love becomes a tool to control the other's freedom, to make sure they don't escape, that they don't rise, that they don't grow beyond you, because if they do, what is left of your power? And still the other remains free. She remains opaque. She remains a universe that you cannot dominate completely. And that hurts, because you wanted security, not truth. You wanted certainty, not mystery. You wanted control, not mutual freedom. But Nietzsche does not let you choose comfort. He throws you into discomfort. He forces you to admit that many times you do not love the other for who they are, but for how they make you feel about yourself. And that is not love. That is disguised need. Do you see what is behind the veil? It is not cruelty. It is complexity. It is not evil. It is the will to power. And that will doesn't distinguish gender. Both have it. Both use it. Sometimes with tenderness, sometimes with cruelty, sometimes unknowingly. And that is what makes love so profoundly human and so dangerous. So the next time you feel like a victim in a relationship, ask yourself, were you really deceived? Or did you prefer not to see? Were you really manipulated? Or did you let yourself be manipulated so as not to face your emptiness? Did she really play with you? Or was your need the one that created the perfect stage to be dominated? Because in the end, Nietzsche is not telling you not to love. He is telling you to wake up, to not give your soul in exchange for a smile, to not confuse affection with submission, to not think the other comes to complete you when you have not even faced yourself. Love is not redemption. It is a mirror. And if you don't like what you see there, it is not the other's fault. It is your task, your battlefield, your philosophy and living flesh. And do you still want to love, or do you just want to escape from yourself? So what do you have left when they tear away all illusions? What do you have left when you look at the emotional mirror and can no longer lie to yourself? You have what has always been there. You. Not the you designed to fit in. Not the you they loved for convenience, not the you who kneeled for fear of losing, but the you that stood tall after everything else collapsed. And there is where the truly interesting part begins. If you no longer need to be loved to feel valid, if you no longer seek redemption in the other, if you no longer accept the games you once confused with love, then finally you are ready to love without losing yourself. Not from the desire to possess, nor from the anxiety to be accepted, but from the lucid choice to share your freedom with another freedom. And that, my friend, is a silent revolution, one that you won't see in movies nor hear in songs, because real love makes no noise. It does not need to be proclaimed. It is not dependent on likes nor demonstrations. Real love is like a tectonic force, invisible on the outside, but capable of moving continents from the inside. And to get there, you first have to cross the desert where Nietzsche wants you to get lost. Because only there do the foreign voices fade. Only there do the masks break. Only there, in that unbearable emptiness, do you find something that neither power nor approval can give you. Truth. And I warn you, when you get there, you can't go back. Because once you see, you can't stop seeing. Once you understand how the game works, you can't play it the same way anymore. You can no longer look at someone and think love is innocent. You can no longer settle for the emotional comfort of ignorance. But that is not sadness. That is power. Because now you can choose. Not react, not beg, not fear. Choose. With full awareness of what you are giving and of what you are willing to never negotiate. Because love, in its highest form, is not blind surrender. It is an alliance between two awakened beings. So if you have come this far, if you are still listening, if something inside you has started to crack, congratulations. You are leaving the theater. You are seeing the strings that move the puppets. And now you have an option that very few have. Stop acting and start living. And now I invite you to do something more radical than any declaration of love. Subscribe if you dare to keep seeing the truth without filters. Because this channel is not here to entertain you. It is here to destroy you, and then help you rebuild yourself stronger. And I want you to leave me a phrase in the comments. Just one. Truth doesn't need applause. If you got this far, I want to know. Because those who watch until the end are the ones who no longer want stories. They want philosophical weapons. Thank you for looking with open eyes. See you in the next video. Or not. Perhaps we will just cross paths at some point in consciousness, where masks no longer work, and only the gaze remains. And remember, the most dangerous whispers do not come from others. They come from yourself, just before going back to sleep. Good night. Or better yet, good awakenings.